Thanks so much for joining us. This is MeWe Fairs, your safe space for authenticity and transformation. We have events in person in the Pacific Northwest, many online, and this is our online conversation event called Cosmic Conversations. This started with Kai and Crystal, and they gratefully suggested that we do this in public online, and I got to join, and we have guests. I'm so excited to be here. This is a conversation event where we talk about all kinds of things together. Those of you that have been here before know that you can join every month. You can find out more at joinmeweonline.com. We're going to go through and introduce ourselves, so you know who we are, and then we are going to talk about whatever you want. So, Kai or Crystal, you want to go first, and then Lorelei, and then me.
I'll go first again. Hi, everyone. I'm Crystal Novak. I am a psychic, and I also basically know stuff. A lot of stuff for me comes from a place of knowingness. Been doing this for about 45 years. And additionally, I've written a book, which is about how we as spirit are here having a human experience. And what does that mean to be in this body, and how does it influence us, and how does it shape our perceptions? And how do we be able to untangle from that and be able to be in a more observational place instead of being in a reactive place? If you're curious about that, you can find it on Amazon. And if you do go, they have that sample reader thing on the side, and I think it's like the first 5 chapters. So that's one way you can check it out for free and see if that calls you or not. And I'm here tonight to join with Cosmic Conversation.
Thanks so much, Crystal. Next, we'll hear from Kai and then Lorelei.
Hey everybody, I'm Kai. I am a Hawaiian Kahuna, which is the Hawaiian version of a shaman, and I am an author, mentor, speaker. I'm a little addled today because I had a class yesterday, which was fun, but I'm still tired from it because I was running a tremendous amount of energy yesterday. But I'm excited to be here. Like we already started talking about a topic that I'm really excited to dig into. So hopefully you guys enjoy it as well, and that if you feel the need to jump in or ask questions about it, like feel free because that's what this is for. So thank you guys for coming. And if you guys have any questions or anything, any comments, you can definitely throw them in the chat, and we'll take a look at them. And let's just enjoy ourselves. So thanks for coming.
Kai, thanks, Kai. And then Lorelei Hewitt. There are 2 Lorelei's here today. Lorelei.
Hi, I am Lorelei Hewitt, a modern mystic that practices ancient Nordic shamanic traditions. I met everybody here at some of the MeWe in-person fairs as a rune reader, and I've been a professional mystic for over 20 years and a professional rune reader for about 10 years, doing the fairs, teaching and practicing and doing readings for quite a while. It's a lot of fun. I'm currently hailing to you all from in the middle of Nebraska, and I'm loving it here, hanging out with my elderly parents. And I'm really interested and excited also to talk about Thoughtforms. And I'm excited to see my old friends, even if it's only on Zoom and not in a physical room. So, yeah.
Great to have you with us, Lorelei. And I'm Lorelei Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, body psychology coach, matchmaker, and I run the MeWe Fairs. And I'm so excited that we get to do this conversation all together. I love spending time with Kai and Crystal and Lorelei. And now that Lorelei's not in person, online is the thing to do. So these conversations are wonderful. I'm excited to be here. As I mentioned earlier, before we got the recording on, for those of you that have come after, this conversation is recorded and it will go up on our YouTube channel. You can participate in the conversation up on stage with us, and then you'll be video and audio recorded. You can participate from your chair, and then you'll be audio recorded. And if you want to make comments, ask questions, or anything like that anonymously, you can do that through the chat. And we will just let us know you want it to be anonymous. You can private chat me or just tell us in the chat, and we will not say it on the air. So we've got 3 questions that have come in tonight too. So we're going to talk about at least this first topic initially. We'll probably then answer some of the personal questions, and we're open to talking about anything. So there are things you want to talk about, let us know. Questions you have, experiences you've had. When we get started talking about this first topic, feel free to interject. You can either raise your hand in Zoom, write something in the chat, turn on your video and start waving around. Hopefully I'll see you. So whatever you want to do to get our attention, we want you to be able to participate. All right, well, let's see. So, Kai, you want to ask what your question was, and then Lorelei can take off?
Yeah, I just want to know kind of it as part of like Lorelei's cosmology, like what are thought forms and like how do they behave? Like, like how do you treat them? How do you identify them? That kind of thing. Just like when you think of thought forms, like what information do you normally work from regarding those? And I know that you just said that there's some, that there's a lot of things that you can't quite define, and that's okay. Like just give me what you got so far, and
Yeah.
And
then, and we'll just go from there.
I
So
want to say, and when you start talking about it, give people some general introduction of when you talk about thought forms. Like, how does this come up in your work? Because
oh
we've heard you talk about it before, and people need some
yeah.
context.
Um, I talk about this in the meditation classes that I teach. I'm fascinated by mind and awareness, as I know all of you are as well. Um, and it's become part of my cosmology. I look at mind as a I start from the place that without these bodies, we're a blob of light, a beautiful orb, and it's made up of photons and protons and probably gluons and all kinds of other particles that we may not even have names for. And I love using quantum physics as maybe a new way to conceptualize mind. And I'm not going to get into it, and I'll be as brief and as fast as I can about this, but using the ideas of entrainment as well as entanglement um, to stretch us. So whenever we think of a person, a place, or a thing, there's a little bit of our mind that actually goes there. And when I say a little bit, I'm talking about little pieces. I suspect they're photons, but I don't know for sure. And they go there. That's why when we're doing remote viewing, there's a part of our mind that goes to that person, that place, that thing. And those pieces of our mind, they go to that person that we think of as like, hi, Lorelei Shimayo, hello. And pieces of my mind might go to you and you would go, oh, it's Lorelei Hewitt. And you think about me. Now, unless we have a practice of bringing ourselves home to ourselves, dissolving those connections, those stay there. And we can have stretches, we can have connections and lines to places, to ideas, to time, to space, to dream times. Our mind is, it's like, it's very connected. When the Buddhists talk about dissolving our attachments, that's what they're talking about, is those attachments that we have to other people, places, things. Now, that's one level of thought form so attachments to me are a kind of form that thoughts can take. But the other one that was more interesting is when they become sentient. So there's an energy that can come through that I'm not okay, I'm not going to get into the details and the mechanics of this, but when we think of something with a lot of emotion, it pulls something through from the void, I call it, or the absolute, and it's sentient. That sentience is defined by the frequency that it was created at. So if it was called forth in a household where there's a lot of rage and anger, it begins to form sort of like a dust bunny in the corner of the room. And it just keeps piling onto itself. And that can pass on from family lineages, for family lines. It's the demon that goes through family lines. Or it can be something, in ancient times, there are many esoteric books, grimoires, and things that discuss actually creating intentionally specific spirit thought forms that go into exacting detail on how to do this in Tibetan Buddhism and Judaism and the ancient Islamic traditions. And probably, I don't know, Kai, if you've come across this in the Kahuna stuff, but I'd be surprised if it wasn't there too. So they were usually created in defense of a community, but so these are the ones that are intentionally created, but then there's the ones that are accidentally created. And they can also be created in the form of devotion. There's a man, Mark Stanish, I think, that wrote a book called Egregores, and he talks about this topic quite a lot. Um, and I'm going to stop and pause because I'm not going to go into lecture mode here. I can feel myself doing that, and I don't want to take up too much time. I'm sorry. So that's maybe the long and the short of it, and I should probably stop there. But it's a
This is a great,
fascinating
really
topic.
broad context connecting with all kinds of things. So it's not a
Yeah,
problem what you're
yeah.
doing.
Okay. No,
Well,
that's interesting. That I mean, I like the way that you describe that because I'm like, I mean, and in listening to you, like then I look at the differences in my own cosmology about how things form or whatever. Because I mean, like in the way kind of I operate is that like when you have all that emotion that it doesn't like the way that I viewed it is that it doesn't necessarily create something, it actually calls something that already exists, is kind of how I view it. And so, but I mean, like, essentially it's the same thing. It's just, so that's interesting.
yeah, it definitely is interesting. And it is like the law of attraction. Yeah.
Um, so when you were talking, what it made me think of is like chords and bands, dissolving those, when you do shadow work and you're releasing an emotional or a contract even that because we are of the divine and we are energy, then we can reshape that energy and or release it back to source, or in a way it gets recycled, it gets cleaned up and then made available again.
In Buddhism, there are many different means of doing that, and sometimes it is through visualization where you just kind of top them up or do something like that. I like to just stick them in what I call the void. I intentionally will when I'm working with somebody, I'll get these images of things, and you're right, Kai, they can be really interesting symbols. It's non-symbolic information that our brains is translating into symbols for us. And those symbols may or may not mean anything to the psychic, but they might mean something very significant to the person. I had a client, I'm working with her, and she'd been abused by this man when she was younger, and I'm seeing double mint gum. I've never seen double mint gum in my mind in anybody's field. Well, she starts crying, and it turns out that this creepy man used to chew double mint gum. I don't,
Mhm.
you know. So, but why it took that instead of that symbol, instead of another symbol, I don't know. But what I did is I grabbed the doublemint gum in my mind and I stuck it in the void. So like you did, like you described, Crystal, like you dissolve it or do whatever. And so you can change it, you can dissolve it. And I don't know everything about this. I don't know if any human ever will, but it's really fascinating stuff. And that is kind of the basis of, I think, what mediums and psychics are tapping into. And yeah, every time I think I know, I realize I don't know everything,
That you
right?
don't, that there's
Most of the
more.
times, most of the times we talk about thought forms with something that's negative or challenging. Can you talk about it in terms of like beliefs or affirmations or things that are positive or
Yes. Yeah. Have you ever been to, especially a Catholic church that has saints and statues, or a Buddhist temple or a Hindu temple, and you look at these statues that have been venerated for hundreds, if not thousands of years with devotion and love, and you can see somebody looking out at you. Have you guys ever seen that? Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a positive thought form that is created from love and devotion of people, really intense love and devotion. And that thought form can be quite helpful. And in fact, it can even be so charged up as to inspire and create miracles as a feedback loop to get more devotion.
So wouldn't intent make a real difference on how that thought form shows up, especially if we consciously manipulate it?
That's my experience, certainly.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that is my experience. Is that they will all often they can have a wrathful version, and I don't even know if they're completely different thought forms or if they're the same, a different version of the same thought form. I'm not quite certain about that. Yeah.
That makes me come back to frequency because my understanding is a lower vibrational energy, so let's say hate, if you keep raising that vibrational, it shifts polarity, it shifts and becomes love. And so a lot of these things you could say have the same essence, but whatever frequency they're at changes how they present.
Yeah, I have seen that as well, definitely. I mean, whenever you deal with deities in a mediumistic way, there's definitely
Mhm.
the protective versions of them, the compassionate versions, just like humans. I think we're the same way. It's just we're in dense bodies, and they're in bodies that are not so dense. They're non-physical bodies, but the emotional energy is very similar. I suspect, from my experience. Um, and it's fun to play with these concepts. It's fascinating to me, isn't it? Because yeah, well, because there are nuances within the frequencies, and how honed in can you get with those. Anyway, it's a fun topic, and I know that we have. Again, I'm cautious of the time.
Oh,
You
but
know, because
I
we
want to go
just
back to
started, so we have plenty of time.
okay. When we do have three questions today, so we know we need to leave some time for that. Kai, you asked a question in the beginning. This is before we started recording about whether they're connected to demons and how similar or different they are from the energies that you see and work with. So, hearing all this, what do you think about that?
Well, I think that there's a tremendous amount of similarity, and I do think that depending on how someone sees something, like what their how their cosmology is formed, would actually see what I consider to be a demon as a thought form, because that's how you because that's the thing about like energy forms. It's like it's all based on like what we see is based on our perception. So like
Hmm.
like if you have like a ball that's sitting out in the middle of the field, depending upon the angle that you're looking at, many people would be like, "Oh yeah, that's a ball," and somebody would be like, "Wait, no, is that a dog, or is that like a stick? Is that a tree stump?" It all depends on your perception.
Hmm.
I have another.
And our perceptions shape our reality.
Yes, absolutely. I got to just throw this in there, though. Okay, what happens then when you have hundreds, can start tens, hundreds, thousands, or even billions of people with
Hmm.
an emotional thought form created by yeah, you know where I'm going with this, Crystal,
Hmm.
because
Yep.
there are these for lack of a better word, you could call them demons or archons or egregores, or
Hmm.
golems. They're they've become sentient, and they have a will of their own. And I'm not going to go into detail, but that's just think about what's behind some of the political leaders that you know of, where no matter what, when people think of well, I'll just when people think of our president, whether you like him or don't like him, you get pissed off. If people like him, they get defensive and angry. If they don't like him, they're defensive and angry. It's anger that is behind him. Billions of people. I won't even go into mediumistically what I've seen when I've looked at that, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
like yeah, and
Yeah. No, and but I mean that's an interesting point though, because I mean I'm thinking of stuff like like Bigfoot and like the conspiratorial things, and I'm like a lot of people actually believe in that stuff, and not that I don't, but I think that something like that may have actually been at one point maybe just a thought form that then a lot of people started believing in, and then you know what I mean? So it's like it's interesting how that can actually transfer potentially to other things.
And I know we've got a question in the audience about this too. Crystal or
Yeah, I just want to say one thing here and then be happy to go back to the audience. So when I look at this, I also recognize that there's my individual experience and my perceptions shape my reality, but we also have the collective, and your 8 billion people add to that overall level of consciousness. And then each of us as individuals experience that as well. And so we add to the quality, if you will, of whatever we are experiencing as a collective. And it's species driven, by the way. It's not, it's human. It's human driven. It's the human collective.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
and on top of that, you've got cosmic rays and solar rays that the
Mhm.
astrology and the cosmology of and the foods that we
Yeah,
eat, and understanding how all of reality intersects and affects us,
yeah,
to help people just get past the idea that you're a physical being. Only 20% of what you see has your DNA in it. The
yeah.
rest is water and air and parasites and bacteria and viruses and food. It's 20%. So who are you? Who are you?
And what frequency are you running at?
Yeah,
What is your
yeah,
resonance? And the more you
right.
clear, the higher you vibe, and the less that lower frequency stuff stays in your space because it can't, because you're higher than that and it can't really get in there and hang out in there.
Yes, yeah. And that's
Well,
like a whole other topic too. Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
Ashia, did you have something you wanted to share?
Yes, no, I was curious what the other Lorelei had seen when she said she looked at things mediumistically.
In regards to thought
Trump.
forms?
Yeah, no, in terms of Trump, I didn't know what that
Oh,
meant.
okay. So what I saw was I think this is where maybe some of the dragon stories come from, but it was like this big river. It was dense, it was thick, and inside of it was all composed of all these really angry, distorted faces. So it's just this like thing that I saw, and I went, "Oh wow, that's interesting," and I could feel the anger emanating from it. And I couldn't look at it very long because I didn't. And we affect what we observe, but we're also affected by what we observe. So just kind of a glance. And again, this is my brain translating mediumistically, I would say, in non-symbolic information into symbols, but it has a coherence to it, and it felt ancient, much older than Trump, and
Yeah.
yeah, much older. So
And the pouring, kind of the cascading of like a river. I think of it like a roaring river, kind of. Is
yeah,
that?
yeah, it could be like that too. I work with dragons, so to me, I watch a lot of C dramas and K dramas, Chinese dramas and Korean dramas. As you guys know, oh my God, I love them. Anyway,
You
they have a
too.
lot of
Is it like the flame
yeah.
from a dragon? Like same, like what is
Um,
it?
well, they're one of the shows that I watched. I think this was a K drama actually, but it talked about it was called a black dragon that was called forth from the seven deadly sins of human beings, and they put them in a big pot, and this evil guy was unleashing it because he thought he could control the dragon. I look in some of the, especially in the Asian cinema, I look at this and I go, wow, it's really validating my perspective, even though it's just a fantasy movie. I feel so validated by it. Somebody's getting me. Anyway, it's there are. We could do a whole show on dragons, actually, too, couldn't we? It would be yeah.
Well,
Probably. Yeah.
I am
We do a whole
curious.
show on lots of things.
With what you saw, I am curious. Some people have said, some intuitives have said, well, he's protected. He is serving a purpose, and therefore nothing's going to touch him. And I don't
Well,
know if that's true or not, because I mean, it it is hard to see intervention happening. I mean,
I do think my sense of that is that that statement is true, that to a certain degree he is protected and that he does serve some purpose. I think that will become evident at some point. But it's, despite what some people may say, like he's still human, and eventually that usefulness will end. We just don't know when that is. At least I not looked at it long enough to try to figure that out. Because I mean, my view on it is like things are going to play out the way they need to play out, and I don't need to. In other words, like there's not like whatever is going to happen, like it's already in progress. The correction
Hmm.
is already coming. So
Hmm.
there's nothing that I individually need to do, but just kind of like observe, bear witness, I guess you could say, to
Hmm.
what's happening. Like the correction is already happening.
But how do you know that the correction is coming?
because that's basically
Do
what
it.
I'm being told. That I
Yeah.
don't have to, like,
Hmm.
I as a person, as an individual, like there's no there's no necessarily any particular energy work that I need to do towards it, that anything like that, because the the correction for this kind of deviation, I guess you could say, from where we're supposed to go is already in progress. Like the ball is already rolling, so there's nothing more I need to add to it, is basically what I'm being told.
Well, I'll give another sort of example to see if I can illustrate my question.
And I,
So
and I just want to say too, Lorelei, if you have like more to say about any of the specific questions, go ahead and jump in. It's Lorelei's our guest, so I want to make sure
I
she
know.
does it
Can
quickly.
you feel
Go
me?
ahead,
Can
Deb.
you feel me going, oh, yes, I kind of do. I kind of do. Can I?
Uh-huh.
So I going back to the thought form thing because this is relevant with that. So each thought form, now we're talking about a massive humanity thought form kind of here as well. It has a sort of baseline energy to it. You have family constellations that do. You have the individual that does. Any company, IBM or Microsoft, that has an energy, a thought form that goes along with that. Now, what it was created at, that needs to be that, especially the more powerful it gets, okay, it becomes necessary for that to be balanced. So if you get a few people or a few things kind of going outside of that, you'll get something, boom, going down here to rebalance it out. So if you get a lot of people, you may have noticed in a lot of families that have a lot of really highly purposeful or magical, high vibed people. They often have family members that are boom way down here too. And the higher you go, the lower they tend to go. I don't know if you've ever kind of noticed that or tracked that, but it's has to do, I believe, with the tone of the energy. Right now, you get this cosmic energy that's changing everybody on the planet. It's going affecting all of us. So everything's getting shaken up here, as happens sometimes. So I don't. So from that perspective, I agree with Kai. It's like, yeah, it does feel like there are things set in motion. The weavings of fate. I use that. Um, is that a metaphor or an analogy? I never know. Anyway, that similarity, the weavings of fate. And we don't know for sure. But yes, going back to your question, um, is that I can see a white light around part of Trump where all these people pray for his safety. That those prayers are powerful, they're thought forms. And whenever I see somebody that's being prayed for, it looks like a white light around them. But he's also not all there. Most of him is just, it's like scattered. He's not in his body, and I don't know if it's the dementia. I don't think it is. I think it's being possessed and overshadowed. This is where the stories of making, I can't believe I'm going here with this, making deals with the devil, sort of, so to speak. It's not like he wrote a contract per se, but he was just willing to go there. He was willing to go there, and he went there, and he's there, and he's dragging everybody around with him because and this happens over and over and over and over again in all of human history. If you look at YouTube, this stuff happens over and over and over again, all these atrocities. The best we can do, I think, a lot of times is we can have our own little divine group. And yeah, Crystal has more. She has.
And I know, and A has more that she wants to ask also after this. Go ahead, Crystal.
Okay, so kind of going back in a way, like to what Kai said about, yes, it's been put into motion, and I personally believe there is divine order and there is a divine plan, and it's unfolding as it should. How do I support that? I turn it back over to source and I do what's mine to do, which is to keep my nose clean, if you will, and continue to do my own personal work so that I don't contribute to the lower negative thoughts forms. That I recognize that each single person here is a aspect of the divine, and we're all here to gain experience. And when I push that into the collective consciousness, like you were just saying, Lorelei, I believe we're, like you said, we've been doing it for thousands of years. It's like we're going around the mountain, but we're getting higher every time, and our perspective is beginning to shift. God only knows it takes forever, but yes, our perspective is beginning to shift. And I think in a way, part of what happened was we had to get to the bottom of the septic tank in order for everybody to go, oh, this really is a bunch of bleep, and I don't want to do this anymore. So, well, because the people that thought it was cool are realizing, no, this isn't cool. This isn't what I thought it was going to be. And they are recanting, if you will, and they're beginning to pull their energetic support away from that paradigm of what is represented that we're talking about. So that's why I'm going again. That was a whole combo conversation. There's a lot of different things, but I believe that is part of the answer. Is to whatever's on my side of the street, make sure I'm taking care of it. And again, the rest of it's out of my control. So all I can do is hold the intent and the thought form that this has divine order to it and a purpose to it, and I might not ever understand what that purpose is. But I can roll with that.
Okay, so let me see if I can, and I'll ask this question and then I'll get off because I don't want to dominate this. But I have also had some remote viewing training, and several, like one person that I respect a lot said that she had seen 9/11 when she was a child. So for many times, and so I've heard a couple of people say that. And it made me think that there are some immovables in the world, right? Some things that couldn't be avoided because so many people did see it, and yet it still happened, right? And and then I guess on a different level too. I mean, yes, Lorelei, Hewitt, I do see the great disparity between high vibration people who are in families that are toxic, myself being one of them. And yet, um, you know, to what Crystal was saying, I might try to keep my side of the street clean and everything else, and even advocate for another family member, or try to have the situation changed. But honestly, I see so little movement of the dial. It's a lot like Trump, right? I mean, it just seems like nothing comes in there, and yet I've looked at things from behind the scenes in a different fashion with voting and other stuff that makes me realize, hey, there's a hell of a lot of manipulation going on. He was not legitimately elected either time. This is, Putin and tons of other things going on too, which I would like to fight, but it's hard when you see some things that maybe like 9/11 are immovable.
Right. So what do you
But
do
see,
with
that's
the
to
impact that you
me,
can make?
Right.
yeah, and it comes
That's
back
my
to
question.
karma. It comes back to balancing. I mean, we aren't lily white in this country. We've participated in a lot of trespass
No.
on a lot of societies and a lot of other cultures and a lot of other places on the planet. Um, so what goes around comes around. And to me, karma is clearing and coming to a place of balance. And so, and there's all different kinds of karma in play. There's personal karma, there's your lineage karma, there's the collective karma, there is other places, different realms and stuff that we've existed in other places and created karma. So this is just plays out on a much broader scale than for me as an individual, but I'm here now as an individual and it does impact my life. So I have to find a way to make peace with it so that I just don't go crazy all day long, being angry and pissed off about what to me is unethical and immoral and um, hurting people on purpose.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and I just want to add something really quick about because A had mentioned that, you know, she doesn't see things moving the needle. And my thought on that is that from my perspective as, you know, a plain old human, I don't see everything. So there could be lots of things in progress that are about to move the needle that I know nothing about.
Hmm.
And so, and it could, you know, because that's how a lot of things change, right? Like through grassroots organizations. It's like
Hmm.
sometimes it's like they take these little steps here and there, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, what's happened? Right? And so I don't I don't consider myself a person who can see everything, but like Crystal, like for me, my part as a healer and as you know, as a practitioner, as a person who likes to help people, it's like I work with what is right in front of me because that's my responsibility is what's right in front of me. I mean, not to say that I won't contribute to different things. So for instance, if somebody says, "Hey, we're gonna have this thing where we're gonna send energy for the you know for the earth or something like that at like 12 o'clock on this particular day," then I will take the time and I will do that because that is within my scope of practice to do.
Hmm.
So I mean, for me as part of my tradition, it's always been do what is yours to do. And
Hmm.
for me, like that's what I do. You know, if I felt like it was part of my responsibility to grab a sign and go out and do the marching and stuff like that, I would do that because that is, you know, so and there are people who have that drive. I'm not that person, right? Mine is literally like a lot smaller, but even in the small ways, each of us makes our contribution that
Hmm.
then eventually moves the needle.
Yes.
Thank you.
Um,
Can I go?
Go
Can I?
ahead, Lorelei.
Oh, so I just have to go back to the karma thing because, okay, I know everything is about thought forms with me, but it is also related to karma because I believe that the thought forms that we have, they don't exist in the physical plane. They exist in that liminal landscape where our mind slash soul is, and those subtle connections that we have affect our vibrational frequency and our ability to manifest the next thing that we're going to experience. Henceforth, those thought forms, if we can clear them up in whether we're in a body or not in a body, but you need to ask help, either ask for help clearing them up or not. But you can detach from the group a little bit more, but we can't not be attached to stuff. You have to attach yourself to something divine, to put
yes.
your mind there, and then and be super consistent with it.
Hmm.
Um, and I guess I'm at a point now, and you know whether there are things in time that are definite. I don't know, to be honest. I've wondered that myself. Time and space are really fluid and wonky for me these days, and I don't do drugs of any sort. My meditation is trippy enough for me, to be honest. Um, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
and just as
Yeah.
mediums, what we see, it's like, you know, it's life is bizarre enough when you yeah, when you really look at it. I don't know, but kind of echoing, I guess, what Kai and Crystal are also saying, but in my own words, I'm really committed to dissolving or neutralizing the
Hmm.
unpleasant thought forms that weigh me down, whether they're attached to the group mind or the um, family mind or the friend mind or whatever little um, circle of I don't know, mind blobs. That's the way I picture them. There's mind blobs everywhere, sort of connected, sort of like the neurons in our brain. You know, they're connected and then they're connected, but with more connections. And and I think that there are some times when it's sort of like putting the gas mask on yourself before you put it on your neighbor.
Hmm.
So I think enlightenment and being a healer, being a helper is like that too. So
Hmm.
being really super committed to to learning and expanding and growing with this stuff in a way that will allow you to be the person that you want to be. That's what sovereignty is, because we're always going to be connected. I walk outside, I still get wet, even though I don't believe in rain. It does not matter. Anyway, I don't know if that answers it, and I'll pass it off to you, Lorelei. I don't know if it looks like this on everybody's stage, but you're next to me, Lorelei, and
Okay, great. Yeah, the line next to you. Well, let's see. So I'm present to the time passing. We're 45 minutes in, and we have three people, potentially two or three, I'm not sure, that want to ask personal questions. So the order that I had, so LH came in first. So do you want to go first? And I should clarify, the question you ask is just a personal question. So someplace where you want personal support about whatever it is. It can be about any topic. We can address just about anything. It does not have to do with, doesn't need to have anything to do with what we've been talking about so far. So I just thought we'd start with some of these questions and make sure we move through these before we go on to other things. Yeah, so LH, do you want to jump in? And then let me know if you want it to be kind of anonymous, if you want to ask from your chair, or if you want to come up here on video, knowing it is recorded. So I'm going to make sure I'm going to ask you to unmute. But you can write in chat. I just need to know how to proceed. And if you're not ready, we'll go to one of the other people in line. But, are you there? There are only so many of you that start off with L, so I think you know who you are. I just want to make sure you're not just having trouble with your technology. All right, well, let's see. I've had some chats with one person, so I'm thinking of going to the other person that was in line. ML, do you want to go first?
Yeah, that's fine.
Do you want to stay in your chair there? Do you want to come up here? What do you want to do?
You can pull. I'm fine where I'm at.
Okay, go ahead. What is your question?
Okay, so I've worked with both Kai and Crystal in the past, and they know what my issues are, so I'll leave it at that. But I've started a new type of meditation. It's a third eye meditation, and part of it has me saying hello to my body. And then I say hello to my aura. And then I say hello to my spirit guides, my higher self, my guardian angels. And I get feedback, like I can feel feedback that just runs through my body when I do this. And I am just seeking validation that it is indeed my celestial team, my spirit team that I'm working with when I'm doing this meditation, and not a trickster posing as my spiritual team, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everything feels, the connections feel authentic to me.
Mm-hmm.
I know I have just
Oh,
some question about the person you're learning it from. How do you feel about the person you're learning it from? Like, what energy vetting of them did you do before you started learning?
well, everybody I've worked with so far has been from the MeWe circle.
Okay.
So I feel very comfortable with it. I've learned some of it from somebody here, and then I learned a variation of that, this third eye meditation from somebody else. But it was so similar to what I was doing, I just kind of took it a little bit further. So I was just making sure that what I was receiving was indeed my celestial team, my spirit team, and not entities messing with me, uh, masquerading as my team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead, Lorelei.
So,
Well, Crystal and then Lorelei. Yeah.
um, this is a good lesson because kind of like your weak spot, if you will, is you have a tendency to doubt yourself. And
Yeah.
then when we get in a place where we doubt ourselves, then everything becomes suspect. So the fact that you were getting this feedback, and I agree with Kai, it's legit. I would highly encourage you to think about how, or remember, or whatever you want to do. How did that feel? And where did you feel it? And what was that feeling you had? That certainty, especially now that it's been validated. it's like you got to get brave enough to own your own validation and not necessarily keep reaching out to other people and like, well, they know more than I do, so I'm going to ask them, is it real? Is it real? Is it real? And I think that's kind of like your Achilles heel is it real? Is it happening? And when you're in that place, then it's a lot easier for the creepy crawly guys to come back to your space. Does that make sense?
Oh, it does. And I'm asking because I've kind of puffed up thinking I've made those genuine connections only to find out, no, 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 not quite. So
And
that's
what
what
you
part
could,
of this is. But yes,
if you're dialoguing with them, for example, you can ask for different types of confirmation, and you can also get a sense of what that energy is. Again, like how does that feel? Are you like grounded when it's happening and you can feel it and it's got it's like when people used to bite on coins, like especially gold ones, to see if it was really gold and was it soft enough that they could leave an imprint with their teeth. It's like bite on it. Run it through your yes, no, run it through a pendulum if you need to. But at some point, you've got to start trusting your experience. And yeah, tricksters come along. There's pranksters. There's little ones that want to run in the house and he and hide your keys and crap like that. But you are strong and you have the abilities. You've just got to trust yourself.
I guess the doubt of yourself makes you weaker and makes you less able to see. So it like it creates more and more confusion.
Because then you're turning it back over to your mind to figure it out for you, which that's not going to work because the mind is never going to give you validation because the mind is all about survival and it doesn't like this stuff. It's like, no, this isn't in a box. This is stuff that can hurt us or whatever because the mind's wired for survival. It's not going to support what you're doing. That's what this kind of like high wire act is we've got to trust that there is a net underneath us and that we can keep going. And that's how you build on yourself, and that's how you build on your experiences.
thank you so much. I appreciate that.
More
Maria,
life with
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I'd like to. So I have a question because I haven't met you before. When you're talking about the third eye meditation, when I heard you say that you're saying hello to different parts of your body. Is that right?
Yes,
And then you're feeling a response from your body.
yes.
And
An energetic response.
yeah, so I'm a bit of an animist, which means that I believe everything is sentient and has a sense of itself. And it's really fun to tune into all these different things. And I think that your legs have a sense of, yeah, when we say I can't stand it anymore, too often, I see people get injured on their knees and in their ankles or their feet. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that correlation. There's a whole book written on words and body talk.
Mhm.
And when you say hello to your legs and you have a feeling of love and like, hi, how are you doing? They're like, oh, she noticed.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a very real thing. It is a very real, but it's not you and it's not you. And I can't explain it any other way except that, your body is you, but it's also made up of air and water and, air that I breathed in is probably might have been breathed out by one of you guys some, time ago. It's very porous. So just remember that let me just back up. I just applaud you for noticing what you notice because that
Mhm.
is so important in this practice. Notice what you notice. And for you, you'll figure out what that means. And it's it's like a language. Your mind speaks a language that you have to learn. It's like the secret language. Like twins will have a secret language they speak. I think our minds do that with our brains. It's like it creates symbols. It's like the secret talk sometimes. And others, sometimes if you're in a mediumistic circle or a circle of psychics, there can be a consensual, non-physical reality where we all see similar things. We see these colors or have emotions and have experiences like that. But otherwise, oh, a great example is when you watch some of these psychics on TV, I think they're called physical mediums. They like to demonstrate that they know what they know. And I'll notice them often say things like, I see a red car, and when I see a red car, that means you're going too fast, or something like that. So their brain has a symbol for that specific kind of energy. And that's what you're
Mhm.
learning, and that's what you're tracking, and that is awesome and really cool. So notice what you notice. And if your legs talk back at you and say, I'm not doing so great today, and maybe it's because you had a leg day at the gym the day before, I don't know, or you walked 2 miles, and then you can just say, I love you. You work so hard. You're so awesome. And be the cheerleader for your body parts.
Mhm.
And
Oh
anyway,
man, thank you. I'll tell you what I've observed, and it's wild to me because there's just so much I'm experiencing. It's that I feel like as humans, we're almost like a little Lego piece. Like we're made of so many different components.
yeah.
So I can say hello to like the top of my grounding cord. I can say hello to my grounding cord where it's connected to the bottom of the earth. And the response I get back, the energetic response I get back is different. I can say hello to the edges of my aura. I can say hello to each of my chakras and I can get a response back. I decided to say, why not? I said hello to my consciousness and I was shocked that I got um, a response back. And it's all from different areas. Um, so I can now, I now know kind of what to expect when I ask for feedback from
Mhm.
something energetically. So I guess I'm feeling different frequencies from each of these parts. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool.
It is really cool. Yeah, notice what you notice. And does it feel right that they should be different frequencies, or should you be adjusting the frequency of one to be in harmony with the other? Only you can answer that question, or maybe a professional healer. But yeah, that's cool. Good work.
I have one question about your initial question. So knowing you,
Hmm.
this could be either thing. You, your initial question about this, and is this real? Let me say, um, I mean, it could be real, and it could be that I'm not saying it's not, but the ways that it could not be real could be if you had some real um, experience, data point essentially, that told you that something wasn't quite right and you ignored it. It could be that you noticed it subtly and it led you to have this belief that maybe something's not right. And it could be that you're um, like idolizing the teacher or the practice in some way and thinking that it is better than you. And then you're not fully in your awareness and you can't notice that something's not quite right. And the thing to notice is that you're not quite in your experience. So if at some point you're not fully in your experience and or looking back, you can feel that you notice something that you haven't addressed. Those are the things to go explore, to
Oh
to
no,
question something.
right. No, I agree. Like I said, I've been doing, I've had work, I've had people work with me on some of these things because I have had negative issues that I've been dealing with, and a big part of that has been cleared off, thank goodness. But then it's the getting to know myself and getting to know who I am once this this area has been cleared out, and that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm just so glad to hear the feedback, and I'm grateful for it. Thank you
Yeah.
guys so much.
It's really cool. One quick thing I'm inspired to add to that is if you continue this practice and if you stare at a body part in your mind, hold it in your awareness um, for longer than a little moment, notice what kind of thoughts arise within you. Because those thoughts are the thought attachments, the thought forms that are affecting that body part in either a positive or a negative way, but they're connected there. So
And
that's,
that's what I would call beliefs. So what are the beliefs? What are the thought forms?
yeah,
The
yeah.
trauma we stored
And
in
Yeah,
that
it's
part
just
of our
different.
body and like all kinds of things.
Yeah.
right. And so it's I think it's saying the same thing, but coming at it from a different way, but still it's all the same thing about
Yeah.
notice it. What is it about? What are you getting from it? How does it feel? Um, and then there's also going to be an energetic component to it as well. And so part of when we do that inner work is releasing those old energetic anchors. And that means you have to go in there, find them, and sit with them, breathe them out, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, I just want to echo what was said here, that I really want to applaud you that you're doing this, you're exploring, and you're getting validation feedback from it. So it's like you can start trusting that.
Yeah,
All right,
thank you
great.
so much.
Great, thank you. All right, we've got our next question in, and it's going to be anonymous. It's kind of related, so I think we should just dive right here. It's the first time this person is here hearing us. They're still trying to manage their feelings and wondering how to be more aware, like more aware of their feelings, more aware of their experience. Right now, I feel the energy and still confused most of the time. And maybe saying I don't know how to use it. For example, my feelings to a certain person, maybe my feelings about a certain person. Okay, let me go back. This person is trying to manage their feelings. So that's an interesting word, manage their feelings. I'm still trying to manage my feelings and wondering how to be more aware. Right now, I feel the energy and I'm still confused most of the time. And I don't know how to use this energy. For example, my feelings to a certain person. I assume it's about a certain person, feeling towards them. Yeah, so the person wants some advice about this. And I guess I'll just say for me, like managing feelings, I don't think that feelings are here to be managed. I think feelings are here to be felt. They're information. Um, in a very simplistic way, I use a model of 5 basic feelings like primary colors. I'll just say mad for me is yes, no, boundary crossings, like I want, I don't want. And that's not aggression. Aggression is fear. I say mad, sad. Sad is a loss. It can be a real loss, an imagined loss. So mad, sad, glad, like the rhymes. So glad or joy is I experience an energy coming through me, and it often leads to connection, connection with divine, connection with other beings, connection with nature, joy, and then fear or scared. For me, fear, scared is a threat, a real threat, an imagined threat. So there might be, a snake coming up over here, and I'm like, it's good that I'm sensing something, and I feel scared, and my body is ready to go do something. And it could be that I'm imagining, what if there's a snake there? What if there's a snake there? What if there's a snake there inside my house? This is not very likely. And then I'm putting all this energy into being scared of the snake. So yeah, so mad, sad, glad, scared, and then alive or sexual being the fifth one. And so alive or sexual to me is connected to life energy. So it really is like a big rush of spiritual energy, like whoosh through me. And it's when I'm expressing my purpose, when I feel so in alignment with that energy, that's when I feel the aliveness. It can be like erogenous unsexual, but it's much more the aliveness, which is different than joy. For me, the aliveness comes whoosh, whereas the joy comes throughout and is connecting. It's more subtle. I feel it through more of my body where the aliveness is more upwards. And I should say, these are often felt in certain places in the body, sensual way. This is my model. Sadness is often along here, and we bend down over this part of our body. What am I going to say? Mad anger is often jaw, head, neck, shoulders, back. It can also be pelvis. When it's pelvis, it's bigger. It's usually not just about the situation in front of us. It would be when we're thinking about the huge thought forms related to Trump and all of the impact of him, right? That's like a bigger thing. And then, and so people that have itches and things like that in their jaw, to me, they're probably angry. They feel a yes, no, and they don't know that. Usually it's more the no. So anytime we have itches, it can be that our body's trying to tell us we have a feeling to pay attention to. So let me go back to your question. To me, feelings are things to feel. If we feel scared of the feeling and we want to manage it or hold it back, so then fear gets in the way, kind of smothering the other feelings, and we get stuck. And this is how things propagate, and we get stuck and we can't be in flow. So being safe to feel your feelings is important. Lots of us have trauma around feeling our feelings. It can be scarier to feel our feelings around other people, particularly someone where we feel attached. And So it's a part of the journey of being who we are is learning to feel all these feelings and feel them through us and feel greater magnitudes of them and be around other people feeling these feelings and knowing that we're okay and that we're safe. And when we allow these feelings to flow, they don't last very long. They're fairly short. And so we get to learn to build confidence that it's a flow of a wave and not such a big thing, not a scary thing. So I get a lot to say about that. It's part of my body psychology work. So I would look to see, like, I find the five feelings simple and like an easy way to break things down. Other complex stuff are mixtures and things like that. And so which feelings are easier for you? Which are harder of these five? Which are the ones that are coming up with this person? What has you feel like you need to manage it? And chances are it's related to your family of origin. Some fear you have of how you're going to impact this relationship. So what do you really want with this person? What are you scared of with this person? And playing with all that. So those are some of the places I would go. And this is recorded and you can watch it again. I know I said a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Sure, Crystal.
So for me, what happens when somebody's sharing information with me, a lot of times I try it on and how it feels, as well as getting other information. And so when I step into that space with you, the weird thing about trying to control something means then it ends up controlling us because we get into a struggle with it. And so our energy gets focused on this instead of being open and just being able to be present with it. It becomes more like a tug of war about who's going to come out on top. And as Lorelei mentioned, emotions come and go.
They made a comment that you might want to know about before you keep going. They said,
Okay.
from what I said, they said, yes, this is true. It's probably some of the general stuff about family of origin and managing and all that, and then the relationship. It says, I have a feeling that is not right. I trust myself, but sometimes with an involvement of another person, I get confused.
So as Lorelei was mentioning about family of origin, that's what I'm feeling here. When I feel this energy with you, it feels like being stuck inside a closet. It feels very heavy. I suspect there's probably some negative interference happening with this, and I would like look over at Kai, who's going to say yes, there is. And so I'm going to stop there because I think Kai's going to have something to add to this. But it's like the other feeling I get is like you haven't been able to live in the house. You haven't been able to live in your house for most of your life. You've been in the carport, and now you're to this place where you want to open up so you can actually live in your own house, if that makes sense to you. So that it's yours. It's your space. You own it. You in here. That's been you've been kept away from it. All right, I'm going to stop there. That's me pointing at Kai.
Yeah, and on my screen, I'm on this side. Anyway, yeah. So my thoughts on this is like as soon as we started looking at the question, of course, my take is on from an energy perspective, and I first felt like, yeah, like the feelings are what they are, and they need to be felt, not managed, just as Laura mentioned. But at the same time, I also feel like that there is influence there that is kind of guiding, railroading toward a particular outcome, I guess. And so what I would say is it's good that you trust yourself, but at the same time understand that some of the stuff that's conflicting needs to be evaluated, because you need to be able to figure out like what is mine and what is not mine. And once you figure that out, then you'll be able to actually feel the feelings that are yours. Because sometimes what happens is other energies can influence us to feel things that really have nothing to do with anything, that end up as a distraction for us. And then that prevents us from feeling or thinking about what we actually own, like what is actually ours. And then it delays the process, holds us up, holds us back, and makes it difficult for us to progress. So I think from an energetic perspective, like figure out like, what do I really feel about something or someone, whatever that happens to be, and then be conscious of kind of ignoring or driving away or whatever terminology you want to use to get rid of what is not yours. Then you can focus on what is yours and manage in whatever way you think is appropriate for yourself. Because sometimes what happens is when we get influenced by an entity, sometimes when we can kind of move away from that or get it to back off from us, then we realize that the feelings we actually had were not nearly as intense as we thought they were.
Yeah.
Because they have a tendency to exacerbate things. So you might be angry about something, like genuinely angry about something, but with influence, like then you fall into like the rage category. And then you're like, why am I so mad about that? Or why am I so sad about that? Or why does that bother me so much? It's because of the influence and not authentically how you feel. So from my perspective, I feel like that there is influence in some form, that needs to be dealt with before you can even look at what your real emotions are regarding whatever your situation is.
I'm going to jump in as just a tag off that. Before I really dug into the question, I asked for a photo because I'm so much about eyes. I want to see a photo of this person. And so now, from where we've gone with the question, chances are whoever this other person is, their eyes are similar to someone else from your family of origin or your early life that was a substantial person in some way. And their eyes are bringing back the same issues and memories with that other person. So sometimes it's about really wanting to get seen and loved by that person. And one can be so scared about wanting to get that connection, or one is just has no patience with this person. And because again, it might have been that there was a lot of frustration with the person earlier in life, but it wasn't safe to be frustrated. And now the frustration comes out with this person. So this is an example of the other energy that can be here.
Yeah. I was going to say something similar to that too. And I also really want to remind this person that emotions are very chemical things in our bodies. There are feelings that you get that can be outside of that, but you really only experience those, I think, in deep meditation states. But when we're tired, when we're hungry, we can really see how our emotions become a little crunchy. It's very chemically driven. And to be able to step back from that and observe that is a very helpful, useful thing. However, when we're thinking about thoughts and there's a specific frequency, whether it's through eye contact or it could be a certain emotion or it could be a word, and that person has pinged something inside your brain. I don't know, or it could be your mind. I delineate between the two. Actually, to me, the mind is more like the soul, perhaps, and the brain is the physical translator of it. But it's pinged you, and you don't even have a conscious thought or memory that this was something that was very similar to something that your parent or your somebody that did something really awful to you. It could have even been a dog biting you, or it could have been a sibling yelling at you, or a parent just, they lose it on us sometimes when we're kids. And it's like a bruise within your body. So I think this is kind of similar to what the rest of you were saying, too. I'm just saying it in my words. And so it hits that, and you don't have a conscious memory of it, but your body definitely does. And it's reacting to that. So that can certainly be exacerbated by an overshadowing influence, whether it's the spirit of a dead parent that's trying to be helpful, but you're like, nah, I really don't want your help, or other things that are kind of similar to that, I suppose. That's a whole nother show in itself, I suppose, too, isn't it? All these wonderful topics. But I just want to remind you that it's really cool that you're noticing this. You're noticing what you notice, and that you can now take this and go, okay, I want to shift this. And maybe you can't do it on your own. So then you go get some energy healing work or some spirit talk work, repossession work, or whatever we're calling that, or some crystal. There's so many more modalities. Whatever floats your boat. It's the body talk stuff that Lorelei Shimayo does that helps you understand what you're reacting to, because sometimes we just don't know. We can't see it. It's so habituated. And then once you do, it's like, oh yeah, that burning sensation I used to have, I don't have it anymore. I couldn't, as an example, I could not get over at how different my stomach felt after I got divorced. Right? I know.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
it wasn't me. I don't know if it was you, but it was how I was reacting to you. I was like, oh yeah. Oh man, I thought I was getting an ulcer. And no, I was just getting an ex-husband. So it's that that is, one of those examples. And there's so many things. And from each one of those you can learn more about yourself, learn more blah, blah, blah. You have to remember it's later here. It's 8:15 for me. I've been working all day. So, um anyway, I'll just leave it at that. Go forth and be awesome. That's all I have to say now.
That's great. Well, the person has responded and said thank you to all of you. If you have any other follow-up question of it or any other information you want to add, like go ahead and the person that asked, go ahead and share that. Yeah, you really didn't say anything about what any of the content is with this person, so we're giving all the
Yeah.
general things for whatever it is. And they wrote back and they said, "Oh, okay. The person's very private. All of our answers make sense. This is very interesting to me. Um, it sounds like there is something similar with someone from their family of origin.
Hmm.
Um, and that person has passed on, so there's probably like stuff. And by the way, there's like chair work, but where
Yeah.
we speak to the other person as if they're here.
Hmm.
You can do it with people alive, people not here. So like,
Hmm.
so probably if you did some dialogue with the person in your family of origin, as if you were just, let yourself share whatever you want to share with them, things you've not said, things you feel, even if you don't know the words, just express with sound and movement, anything. Chances are you'll feel something shift in relationship with the current person too,
Hmm.
if there's a connection between them. Oh yeah. So thank you so much for asking your question. Thanks for letting us support you with our answers. Thanks for finding a way to do it. Yeah. So anonymously for you, and the person sent us a heart. Well, thank you so much. All right, great.
Cool.
Let's see. There's a third person that wanted to ask a question. They weren't quite sure if they wanted to or not. They needed to kind of learn a little more of our format. If you, at any point, if you are ready to ask your question, let us know.
Okay,
And
I'm
we,
ready.
okay, great. All right. Do you want to turn on your video and come up here? Do you want to ask from your chair there? It's up to you.
Well, you guys already saw me in the beginning. I'm in bed, so
Oh,
um,
I know okay, that's right. Great. That's fine. Do you want to come up on stage? So we're recording and it's going to go on YouTube. Do you want to be up on video and video recorded, or do you just want to be in your
that's
chair
fine.
asking from? Okay, great.
Um, so first of all, I have gotten so much out of all of the discussions so far, and it's like things that you said to other people, it kind of fit slots in me as well.
Yeah.
But I have been feeling so much grief and as I've been listening, I've been thinking, well, part of it is I have been working on psychic development, and it was suggested at one point that one of my abilities is empathic, and but that I had shut it down because of past trauma, and uh, And so I thought, I've always been an overachiever. And I thought, well, I'm going to show the world I can get through this. And, I can be empathic. And so I think I am being more empathic. Or maybe you'll have something else. But, um, uh, and it's really been weighing me down. I went to see a musical Friday And the lead, it was 1776, and the lead actor, I was in a front row seat, and I could see the tears going down his face, and it just did me in. And I went to a memorial service today, and I'm toast from that. Um, uh, so I don't know if the, but I'd been feeling grief for our country for
Hmm.
quite some time too.
Hmm.
So and I'm a widow, and it's been many years, but I've been feeling grief about that. Um, so that's part of what's been going on, and I'm not quite sure how to deal with it. Um, and and I really appreciated what you had to say about to another person about thinking other people know and turning, kind of, these aren't the words you use, but that's what translated to me. Giving away my power, thinking other people have the answers, all the answers, and I don't. And that fit me to a T. Um, so I'm tired of this heaviness that I've been feeling, and if you guys have anything to suggest, I'm open.
I could say a tiny little bit about eyes and then hand it off. So in your eyes, I see you as having the knowledge talent and the inspiration talent. The knowledge talent is very mental. The inspiration talent is very emotional. People that have the inspiration talent, the emotional one second, tend to want to be perfect. If you grew up in a family that expected perfection, it exaggerates all that. And the knowledge talent being so mental, part of its development is to get in touch with feelings and emotions and get in touch with the body. And so I think you were encouraged to do the mental stuff, and that ran the road, that ran everything for a long time. So I think it's good that you're bringing all this online. Um, I think it is a natural capacity you have. And now you get to learn lessons about shielding and choices about what you let in and what's yours and not yours. And so anyway, that's where I think we're going to end up going in some of our answers.
Hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's pretty much kind of where I was going with that, is that um there is a tremendous amount of grief that's happening right now because people are experiencing loss on many, many levels in our country. Like farmers and I mean, like, so many levels. People are losing their jobs and people are losing their homes, and just all kinds of stuff that's happening. And um and for someone who is an empath, that can be brutal because you're literally feeling everybody else's stuff, and it's difficult, especially when, and I was telling this to one of my students yesterday, is that when we have our own grief or whatever it is that we carry, right? So anger, sadness, whatever, if we're carrying that, that resonates with whatever is around us, that actually kind of exacerbates or makes it even more intense for us. So within ourselves, sometimes we can handle different things like grief or sadness or whatever it is, anger, and we're like, oh, it's fine. But then when we get in an environment that is full of that thing, then we get overwhelmed with it and we're like, oh my gosh, I can't handle this. This is too much. So really, what I told my student yesterday is to it's you can't necessarily affect what is being projected by other people, because that's just what they do, right? As people, like, whatever we feel just kind of broadcasts out into the world, and each individual needs to be able to figure out what is mine and what is not mine, as Lorelei had mentioned earlier, and to deal with what is ours, like express what is ours, feel what is ours. Then that way, the resonance of things around us doesn't affect us as much. And for those of us who are empaths, who automatically just kind of sponge up everything that's around us, working with some sort of energy shield, which can be built with just intention. It doesn't require like a whole ceremony or nothing like that, even though some people do that sort of thing. Um, it's just a simple intention of, I'm going to work on, I would like to be contained, energetically speaking, so that I don't absorb any of that stuff or be affected by any of that stuff. And that that I am enclosed in a energetic bubble that allows me to just deal with my own stuff, whatever that happens to be. And I find that most people who are empaths, when they have some sort of energy shield up, that they find that it's easier to go through their day, walk through the world, and not be exhausted by the weight of other people's emotions. Because it's really difficult when you're an empath to not necessarily to discern, because most people can be like, wait, why am I suddenly so angry? Like most people know that, but then without a shield, there's really not anything you can do about it, because it's hard to push all that stuff away because it's coming at you constantly. I mean, like you walk out your front door. In fact, you don't even have to walk out your front door. And all that emotion, the loss, the worry, all that stuff is, I mean, it's literally like hanging in the air. And you really can't avoid it right now. So I would say that's probably what I would recommend, is work on an energy shield and focus on healing whatever you have within yourself that resonates with what you're feeling, because that only just makes it worse for you, and it just makes you more tired. But you being an empath is not a bad thing, because that allows you to also to a certain degree to be able to kind of sense what others are feeling, and then you can actually send them energy that counteracts it, which is like love and understanding and hope. Because I think that that's what a lot of people are missing right now with all the stuff that's happening, is like they're just missing a lot of hope. So if you can balance yourself out a little bit more and send the energy of hope out into the collective consciousness, or just out into the world in general, that contributes to, I think it contributes and goes a long way to making things better and improving things in some way. I mean, it's small, but it works.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying you can set the filter in any way you want. So it can be that you're sealed off completely. It can be that you let enough in that you can tell what's happening with other people a little bit, so that you're compassionate and you're connected, and you can change how much comes through at any time. Like you set it up the way you want to set it up. You have to trust and know that this works for it to work. So give
Yeah.
yourself some experience with things that are easier, so you can trust it with the things that are more challenging for you.
Yeah. I mean, because there's some days when you're like, okay, I can take in a little bit more and it's okay. And other days you're like, nope, I want none of it. And you can shut it down for the day. We have that control over our energy. And so, yeah, there's some days, I mean, when I'm like, nope, nothing. And other days when I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll be a little softer today and just see what we get. So it all depends upon you, because you are the focus of that. And so it's not, don't ever feel like, oh, I should be doing this, or I should be like, you don't should anything. Just do whatever you feel is right for you, for the day, for the moment. And that's what it is.
And Kai, you
Yeah.
have stuff on your website about shielding, right? You have
Yeah, I
a
do
course.
have an audio course that's on my website about that. So if you want to learn how to do shields, different kinds of shields, different circumstances for the shields, all that stuff, it's in the course that's attached to my website. So, but yeah, a simple, just a white light shield works just great for most people. And then you decide like how thick it is or how permeable it is for the day, and then just live your life to the best of your ability.
And Terry, I just want to check in with you. I have a question. Is what you're feeling, is it a sadness that comes and goes, or are you depressed?
I don't think I'm depressed, no.
Okay.
Um, but it's been building lately.
So all right. So you do have moments of happiness.
Oh yeah.
Oh, good. All right. Um, and I just want to, I guess, echo what I'm hearing the others say too, but in my own words, I always feel that no matter what I'm feeling, because sometimes I wake up from a dream and I'll be like, oh man, um, there's weird stuff happening. Like this morning, I woke up and I went, "Oh, that was weird. I'm going to check the news." And like, "Oh, that's what that was about, right?"
Mhm.
It's in the field, the thought field for humans. But I still feel like whether it's me or it's not me, it's my responsibility to shift it. Like if I'm outside and I'm getting wet, it's my responsibility to get in out of the rain. And so maybe looking at something, one of the Buddhist, my husband is a Buddhist. I do the Nordic shamanic thing, but we talk about this a lot. So I know a lot about Buddhism too. But to look at something and like at flowers, male beings appreciate the beauty of a flower, or male beings experience happiness and the causes of happiness. But to be able to, the more you wish happiness on something or somebody else, or are grateful for the beauty or the kindness or the wonderfulness of things, you're going to find, I suspect, that more and more of that throughout the day just comes to you because your vibrational frequency is now shifted even just a little bit, and you can shift it and shift it and shift it more through just simple acts of kindness, gratitude, and appreciation throughout the day. Like when I'm really down, I have to go to, I love hot running water because I have a long memory of many past lives. I remember not having indoor toilets. Believe me, they're something to be grateful for. They're awesome. All right. So all of those things to just be really, really grateful for. Go, wow, yeah, that's, those simple things. Um, and and watch how your day changes. The other thing that I will do is I'll ask for help. If I'm waking up or if I'm having a hard time, I ask my spirit friends, say, you know what? I need some love. Because I recognize that being seen and seeing, we affect each other all the time. Even the unseen affect us, right? Like by viruses, bacteria, or if our relative is having a hard time, we might not even consciously know what's going on, but we might feel the emotional tethers because we're connected, we're attached. I can always tell if my husband is having a cranky day at work because I have the same cranky thoughts. And then we check in and it's like, oh yeah, okay, all right. It's good to track that. But it's still my responsibility to not get hooked in. It's just information. Like, I don't know, one of you guys said that. It's information. And,
Mhm.
but so anyway, ask for your spirit guides or your angelic helpers to help you feel loved, to help you feel happy. And before you know it, it's not usually like a ba for me, but by the end of the day, I'll stop and look around and say, oh, yeah, yeah, thanks, guys. That worked. Thank you. That was really helpful. So always remember to ask for help, whether it's from the physical or the non physical people that you trust.
Thank you.
And Crystal?
So, do you meditate?
Yes.
Do you like do an energy cleanse and clear yourself and cut cords and bands and ground and all that?
I do some grounding, but the rest of what you said, no.
Okay, so I call it energy hygiene. Um, so when you're meditating and you feel complete and you're grounded, then you can visualize a portal opening over your head, that white light full of tiny glistening rainbow particles comes cascading down into your space, and you allow it to move throughout all of your bodies, your systems, your chakras, everything. And all those little particles pick up debris. And so anything that you're releasing, any debris, anything that no longer serves, anything that doesn't belong to you, you just start running that energy through your system and then ground it off. And when you feel complete with that, And that's another time too, if you might say, oh, I missed this chord or whatever, and you can let go of that. Or you might even dig a little deeper into roots and remnants and like say, I'm going to really unravel this and get rid of it. Then you are sitting in a shield at that point because you've created this energy around you, and you're using it with that intent to clean and to balance. So at that point, you can hopefully then have a sense of, this is what it feels like now when I'm in my space and I'm at neutral, if you will. And I don't have all this other stuff hanging on me. And you are empathic. And so empaths, yeah, it's like walking around being a sponge all the time. And also people tend to be drawn to us because we are kind of like healers in a way as well. We want to help other people. We want to be kind. We want to be compassionate. At least that's the theory. So I would suggest that you try that. And then again, kind of like get a sense, okay, now how do I feel? And was that mine or not? You don't even have to worry if it's yours or not yours. You will know because you have cleansed your space. And Lorelei Hewitt is correct about whatever thought we hold on to as an intent, like I'm going to be grateful, or I'm going to be appreciative, or I'm going to notice something and let it cheer me up, then the universe sends more of that to us because it'll match wherever our intent is. That's one of the laws of energy is that. So when we allow for like right now where I live, the lilacs are blooming. And so every time I walk by, it's like, I just like, like I'm taking this big hit of lilac and it just smells really good and just makes me feel good. And spring's here and the birds are all doing their thing. And just to shift myself into that space of enjoying it, and being appreciative of it. And you'll find it lifts your mood. And so that is a way we can move out of a less than positive place, is to embrace its polarity. We embrace the opposite of it and hold at that space, and we consciously then are shifting that vibration. And one other thing would be, look at your grief. What is it? Usually for me, when I experience grief, it's because there's loss. There's been some kind of loss, and I no longer have the connection to something that I used to and or was hoping I'd have a connection to. Like part of trauma when we do our shadow work is realizing the family that we always wanted, we're not going to get it because they're just not capable, unless they've done a massive amount of work, they're not capable of being that family that we really, really wanted to have. And so there's a level of grief and loss that comes with doing that level of work. So to me, part of what having this body is, we have feedback mechanisms, and emotions are one of them. And they give us information about where are we dialed in at? What are we experiencing right now? Our emotional thermostat, what setting are we on? And it can give us information about where our unconscious is that we're maybe not aware of, that some thoughts are dwelling on some specific incidences or experiences, and that vibe comes up. And that gives us a place to go, oh, okay, I want to sit with that. Maybe I'll cry. Maybe I'll write a letter to that person, even if they're not here anymore, or maybe I'll sit and just talk to them on the inner planes, what was suggested about have them imagine they're sitting with me, that type of thing. Maybe you're grieving for what's happening to our nation. And yeah, that's a legit thing. And when that happens for me, because periodically it does, that I just am so, it's like, really? How many thousands of years have we been here? We still don't have a clue about doing this kind of junk. I will pray about it, and I put it into the light, and there's a whole little litany that goes with it that I learned several years ago. But basically, I place this situation into the light, that all involved with this situation have access to this light to use as they see fit, in accord with divine order, and honoring the evolutionary path of all concerned for the highest good, and may it unfold in a balanced way. And then it's like, here you go, divine. I'm turning this over to you. I'll take care of my little spoonful, but the rest of it, I'm going to give back to you, because you're the driver, and all I can do is do what's mine here to do. And for me, that's very helpful. I will ask that that energy be made available to those who are in need of it. And whenever possible, may they realize that this energy is available, and may they allow it more deeply into their life experience. And at least then at that point, I feel like I'm doing something. And that, for me, that's helpful for me as well. So hopefully some of this helps.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Great.
Good.
Thanks so much for your question. So we've got another private question, our personal question, and then we've got a general question. So let's go to the personal question and then skip around to the general question. So I would say the personal question is complex. It's a complex situation. I know some of the backstory, so I'm going to read and I'll see what I think might need to get filled in. So I'm going to say some general things before I read, maybe. It's a person who has a narcissistic brother who has taken over their mother's life. It's unclear how much their mother plays into the whole thing. Their mother's older. They have not been able to see their mother. They even flew across the country and they weren't allowed in to see them. They've taken a whole bunch of money. And so this person has still been involved in trying to help. They really want to help take care of their mother. But yeah, so this whole pattern is in here. What can I do to prepare for seeing my sociopathic brother Thursday and Friday? So evidently there's another opportunity to see them coming up here, who blocks me from fully seeing my mother and continues to be abusive to us, even though I've tried everything I can. And they've engaged some legal things, like they've done a bunch of stuff. I don't know if a questionable and he's manipulated and had medical things done to the mother, but I don't know what. I don't know if a questionable medical scan will yield something or not. Feels like it may be related to this toxic situation. 9 years now where nothing seems to help. For example, he lies about me and creates new ways to block me. I traveled across the country in December to see my mom for 60 minutes, even though he promised me 90, because he was late and didn't put in her hearing aids or give her meds to make her sleepy or sick. It's awful. I don't know why I have a front row seat to this and do relate to the high vibe, bottom dwelling family energy. Would love help in clearing or whatever. So I know this person is just right. They care about their mother. I assume the way that the way they've said some things of like there may be ways their mother plays into it. I mean, the mother keeps this going too, but she's probably not as mentally competent now. But yeah, so just assisting this person in untangling this. And I think the person probably has this mixture of they don't want to let go of their mother and they want to let go of some of the pain that they're in about this. And so they have mixed feelings of letting go.
Before I answer this, I don't mean to be rude, but I've drank too much tea.
Go
I'll be
ahead.
right
Take
back.
care of yourself.
Okay,
Come on
guys.
right back.
I'll be
Yeah,
right
yeah,
back.
yeah.
I'll be right back.
That's great. I'm glad you heard the whole thing. And yeah,
Little bio break.
yeah. We got to honor ourselves. That's how we show up. This is a lesson for everybody.
Yeah, it's hard to think with a full bladder.
Oh, it is. Yeah, and if there's anything else you want to say about this topic, let me know. I think I did a reasonable job of summarizing it and a little of my feedback here. I think that you're mixed about whether you want to unwind this, untangle this. And I think that this is big and very entangled. I think that's it's a lot of stuff that's here.
Yeah, it's a hot mess. Your brother is not gonna change one tiny iota. He's mentally disturbed. He's definitely a narcissist. and he's really getting off on this whole power play thing, like promises you 90 minutes, but then he goes, oh no, you only get 60. So he's in total control, and he's just, that's it. He's sucking all that in. So when you deal with a narcissist, whenever possible, you want to be the least reactive as possible. And sometimes it's called gray rock, and also there's yellow rock. And I don't know if you've heard of either one of those expressions. So gray rock is you just minimalize your responses, almost like a monotone, because they want to get a rise out of you. That's going to feed them even more if they can get a rise out of you. And granted, doesn't mean that you're not going to get triggered. Doesn't mean that you don't want to choke him out, potentially. It just means that that's not going to run you in the situation. You, once you're done and you leave, you can go, pound on a pillow or scream or whatever. But while you're there, as much as you can, it's called gray rock. Like I said, monotone. You're not rude. You're just, that's correct. Thank you. That kind of thing. Yellow rock is more, even less monotone, but still minimal amount of responding. Like the example I've heard of yellow rock is like exes meeting in court about child stuff, and you can't lose your temper, and you have to just be polite and go through the motions of whatever you have to do in that moment for that particular appointment. If you have a therapist, this is a great thing to take to therapy and act out different scenes so that you can practice how you want to be in that moment. That's another thing you can do. Yeah, your brother's very insecure. And I'm not sure what your childhood stuff was like, but he's been
Are you thinking
jealous
or are
of
you
you.
stuck?
Huh?
It's like your screen froze. I'm like, are you thinking?
No,
No, I think your screen froze.
no, I
Just
was
let me
Okay.
jump in and say
was
one thing
listening.
while we're doing that. It said, yes, the medical ambiguity is mine. I don't know if I will be okay. I'm not sure if the person that asked the question is having some medical stuff or this is mother. But it also says we have mediation on 5/26, so that's coming up in this
About
9
10
days.
days.
And I wonder if you see good things arising from it, or if we will need to take him to court. Just
I
a hint,
immediately saw legal stuff.
Yeah.
It's like because he's not gonna back down. Like
No.
so I'm like, it's gonna have to go legally. And the entire time you have to not respond.
Correct.
Like whatever he says to you, you can just be like, talk to the lawyer, talk
Yep.
to the lawyer, talk to the lawyer. Like, yeah, don't respond. Like, don't acknowledge. In fact, like the thing that will just drive him batshit is if you completely ignore when he speaks to you. Just make it like he's not even there. Like, look right through him like he's not there, and that will like burn his shit.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if you want to do that, because I also feel like that there's this tremendous amount of fear. Like this is a relationship that has happened for years. Like this dynamic that has played out for a long time. And so you have to make the decision like, am I going to let this play out again and again and again and again and again the way he wants to, or am I going to change the rules of the game? Because that's what it is. It's a game. Like he doesn't really care about anything. It's a game. So if you want to like really like change it up, you're going to have to step into the position of power here. And that means you have to not play by his rules at all because he wants that engagement. He wants you to get pissed off. He wants to hurt you. He wants that because that's what he lives for. So if you literally give him nothing, that changes the game.
Well, and this does a little bit of it can get worse before it gets better, in that he might push harder And then
Yeah.
when he realizes he can't get anything from it, that's when he puts his attention somewhere else because he needs to get energy from something and he can't get it here anymore.
And that's why it's good to have the attorney there, because if your brother loses his shit, then you've got a legal witness right there. And it can't be, well, I didn't say that, she's making it up. And he wants you to lose your mind so that you look irrational and he's the calm one. So, as Kai just said, man, just monolith it. And again, like really have the attorney do the talking. I know I heard the word mediation, so I'm not sure exactly what that's supposed to be. But and everything needs to be in writing as well, because he's going to lie later on. He's not going to do whatever they want him to do. Even if he agrees to it, he's still not going to do it. So there needs to be a legal consequence, which was why I'm saying things need to be documented and in writing, and or potentially videotaping the whole meeting as well, so that again, if he tries to do something, you've got all this evidence that legally might be a lever insofar as how the inheritance goes or anything like that. I don't know how much you're going to be able to do to be able to see your mother. Because if he's got that level of control, if he has power of attorney, or he's on her medical appointee person, you might be stuck.
I think he's power of attorney. I think he has a whole bunch of different things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can still, even though she's not there, you can still talk to your mom from a meditative place. You can share your whatever you need to say to her, and she will hear you.
I
And
well,
yeah,
I
go
was,
ahead,
And
Lorelei.
she
I was,
just um she took him off of HCPOA. She took him off of power attorney. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, so she did take him off that. Um, and she said, "Do you see this as karmic or what? It's awful. I do try to do good in the world." The person does a bunch of other good in the world. Go ahead, Lorelei.
um, I was going to just add to that that for you as an individual, if you can find an energy healer that you trust to uh, diminish the cord attachments to this brother. I find that with a genetic relationship, you can never completely sever them until their body dies, but you can really diminish it so that it's much lighter. And there's a lot of exercises that you can do, mental, spiritual things, practices, maybe is a better term than exercises, but as far as protection goes, but also dissolution of the thought forms around this, and which would be my way of describing it, um, because that is what ultimately creates the karma. I'm sure it is a multi-lifetime thing, but it also feels like your brother. I wouldn't be surprised if there's addiction issues for this brother of yours, like there's some kind of chemical imbalance in his brain, because that's not normal behavior. So whether it is the chemistry is imbalanced because of some natural deficiency or an allergy or just substance abuse, whether that is their legal or illegal substances. And when that happens, I have a brother who's an addict myself, and you just can't. You can only gray rock them, like Crystal was saying. That's all that I can do. Yeah. So I do feel like you've got this, and the thing I'm worried mostly about is about you, my friend, taking care of yourself so that you don't get sick from this negative energy. Because your brother's slamming you with so much weird stuff. He's can be really psychically vicious. So I really encourage you to take care of yourself, protect yourself, and yeah, I can't really. It's easier for me to see the outcome of things when I have a stronger connection to the person, to be honest. But I do feel like you've got this.
I'm
When
gonna
I say
say,
better connection, I just mean like seeing them or talking to them. So.
She said she's tried karma rings. She said her brother's always been sick and her dad was a malignant narcissist. She said, yes, it has harmed me. Can you all help me with protection? So I just want to be aware of like time passing and but so yeah, what else we can do today and then what has to be afterwards.
I think it would be, she just needs to find someone who can help her just clear a lot of stuff and then like work on her shielding and then just go in with the attitude that it's, again, from his perspective, it's a game, but it's a game that he intends to win. And so she needs to change the rules by not behaving in the way that he expects her to. And she will actually come out on top, like Lorelei said, because I feel like she can do this. It's not going to be easy because it's not a pattern that she's used to. Like, like once you have the family pattern, like, he says this or he does this, then I do this. Like that's the pattern. So you have to be willing to be conscious and aware of what the pattern is and then actively break it.
And doing the clearing will make it easier to change the pattern. Like it'll be
Yes.
easier to
Yes.
implement the new stuff. I should say Lorelei does this, Kai does this, Crystal has her ways of doing this. Like so these are examples of practitioners
Yeah, Matt
that can
does
help
it
you with
too.
this.
I mean, there's lots of different healers that, that
Mhm.
do this type of thing. So yeah, there's no lack of people who could help with that. But again, all the energy clearing in the world won't make any difference if she's not willing to do her part and engage in the necessary behavior in order to stop it.
Yeah, and then there's a general question that's related to this. I think if we run to this general question right now too as part of this. And Lorelei, you made a comment about this a little bit. I'm curious to hear the panel's thoughts on whether or not a negative entity that is attached to a person or place can always be banished or removed or cleared with the right tools, healers, or are there some negative entities that are too powerful to be removed completely? So like Lorelei, you were saying something about the person dying, some cords and some things don't completely go away. Kai, I know you've talked in the past about how you can remove things and fill with good things and shield and things like that. But if the person wants to, they can pull stuff back in. Like even if they subconsciously want to, they can pull stuff back in. But so maybe if you all could say something about this, and it's related a little bit to the personal question too. So that's why I'm linking these together.
Yeah. In the way I work is when I pull an entity off of something that's attached, I send it to source, it does not come back. That doesn't mean to say that the person couldn't attract something similar, but it's not that exact same thing. For me, when I cut cords, I literally cut cords and I cauterize them. So if if a cord comes back, it's a brand new cord. It's not like the same cord, like reviving itself. Like it's literally cauterized and cut off. And I like the way I view them, because I do see that I actually see the cord kind of dug in, like it's got a root structure. So I literally like take the whole root structure out, send that to source, and then backfill everything all the way out to the aura because it usually burrows in through the aura before it gets to the energy part of the body, then digs into the body itself. So yeah, so I backfill all that all the way out so that there's no hole, I guess you could say. But if the person allows it, or if they're continuing the activity like addictive behavior, that kind of stuff, that leaves them vulnerable to get something that comes back. So, but that's just how things work for me. Other people have different experiences dealing with cords and whatever.
And I just want to mix another personal question. The person asked if the brother is an entity, and I said no, the brother likely has a bunch of negative entities. That's like what you're.
Yeah, for sure he does.
And you can't just clear someone else if they don't want to be cleared. Like it's you have to focus on your part. The person asked the personal question.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, Lorelei, did you want to say something else about this, about clearing and whatever?
Yeah. And I do want to say that in order to shift or change any energy, you have to have an equivalent amount of energy or more than that to be able to shift it. So, like for instance, the big Trump thing that we were talking about, none of us as individuals can shift that. It is too massive. If you go to like Alcatraz, You can't, just one person can't shift all the stuff that's seeped into the wall. You can't. It could be maybe if you had a few hundred really powerful people, you could turn it into a temple. I don't know. I've never encountered that sort of thing before, but man, it'd be interesting if you could find out to try it. I don't know. But it's very uncommon and very rare for a person or a place to have something so negative that a powerful shaman was unable to clear it. Power is something that mystical people accumulate through going into those realms, connecting with the void, the absolute, the divine light, or whatever. When you consciously, when you remember, you affect what you see, and you're affected by what sees you. So if you're looking, if you see that light, and you can feel it coming into you, you're bringing it in. That light eventually accumulates and sort of sticks onto you, and that's why we become light workers, because we literally have more light. There are people that are brighter than others. When you can see auras, you can see energy fields, and indeed, when you see those balls of light in the liminal landscape, there's some that are really big and bright, and some that are really tiny. It's more. I suspect you're accumulating more of that to be part of your own awareness with it. And so that's my perspective on how I would describe power, I suppose, in light. So if you have more of that and you can command that resonance, that frequency, first, usually you have to be willing to match it. That's my experience with it. And then be strong enough to raise it or just, cut it. But it's really described, you need to be very flexible in your ability to see things and to encounter things. You don't maybe have to match it exactly, but you have to be able to, it's like when you're talking to a crazy person, right? You have to be able to crazy talk back at them. And in fact, sometimes you have to be even crazier than they are. And then you can connect with them, and then you can talk to them and get them to shift a little bit. You imagine it's like, oh yeah, that Trump, that this, blah, 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 blah. But then pretty soon it's like, yeah, if you know how to talk to them right, you get them turned around and they're thinking like you are, and they've shifted. And that's the door that opens for any beings or any entities to be able to be offered help. Whether it's the void or in going out for their ancestors or going into whatever realm they need to go into.
I say this is part of what's really fun about having you and Kai here together, because like Kai would never use your approach and you don't use Kai's approach, and you both are super effective and you go about it in very different ways. It's very fun.
Yeah. There are very different ways of doing it, and the proof is in the pudding. If it works, it works. That's my feeling about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. It's like there are many ways to get to the same place.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's what's so interesting about this work.
All right, let's see. So, and we're getting some appreciation from the person that had asked the personal question, and I think we've now addressed that general question. We've got one other general question, so we're going to go just a few minutes late here. So the other general question was, I just did a meditation webinar series, a great meditation webinar series. There were speakers that stated that you can get in a state, anyone, where you will hear or know things that you could not possibly know. This is just a great general question. One mentioned getting into a theta state. Another mentioned centering into your intuition or higher self in order to hear. How do all of you relate? Or how do all of you relate? What do you do in relationship to this idea? So this is just talking about all kinds of different clairs and all the ways that we pick up information. And I'm going to put a list of clairs. We just made up one here. We totally just made up one. There's a made up one on this list just last week. So just FYI, this is a made up thing. Let's But
The
so this is
eclair.
a long an eclair, right? This is a long list of clairs. The one we made up was clair habitus, which is really it's kind of close to clair sentience. So I want to mention just sentience because you were talking about sentient, Lorelei, in a different way that sentience is here.
Mhm.
You talk about sentient as a what's the like you're talking about the leg being sentient and having its own sense of itself as a leg, essentially, and like its own, there's an energy of it that can respond. And so clairsentience is a connection to body and awareness of things in the body, which is a little different, related, a little different. So anyway, the one we made up was clair habitus. It was just a joke. It was like when someone's, but it's not, but when someone's channeling and they pick up habits or mannerisms or like tonality of another being as that channeling is coming through, it's not exactly clairsentience. I thought that was the closest it was, but we just teasingly put it in as clair habitus. But anyway, habitus means habits, mannerisms, and stuff like that. So anyway, so yeah, so I think this person is asking about clairs, and so they're asking, do we believe in this stuff of being aware of hearing or knowing or things like that? And then are there tools like maybe that we use to go to that place, or like which are our clairs, or however you all want to answer that question, because I think this is really what the person's asking about.
Well, if I can start off first, I was a little kid. I knew stuff. I was at a birthday party when I was about 7. This girl unwrapped her present, the last present. It was a box and a box and a box. She got down to the last box, and I just blurted out, "It's a silver dollar." And it was a silver dollar. I wish I could have taken a picture of her mom's face because, man, so many different things went across her face. But the reason I'm saying that is I didn't have any special training. Um, it was just something that I had, and throughout my lifetime, I call it I just know stuff, that's how that ended up being the name of my website. It's a level of knowingness. And then I went on later on when I was about 30, I joined a channeled meditative study group for 35 years and taught by an ascended master. And we met once a week and I learned all kinds of stuff, which in turn I integrated into my own belief system. And that's where it also amplified and strengthened my abilities as well, and also allowed me to expand in different ways. So I'm always a little bit leery about authorities who say, well, if you do it like this, you're going to get this. And if you do it like that, you're going to get that. And you can't, otherwise you can't get there. And I don't necessarily think that's true because there's like Kai could see stuff when she was an infant. Her mother used to use her as a Geiger counter. If Kai started losing it, then her mom knew that there was something creepy about that person because her mom had energy awareness as well. So we have abilities, and yeah, maybe those authorities, their statements, there's one way to get there, but there's not one single way that gets there. I think what you'll find if you talk to a lot of different people is meditation, having awareness of your energy, how to clear your energy, how to be protected, and how to ground, till you begin to get to a place where then you can be more mindful and you have a greater awareness. And then you're not reacting to something, you're observing something. And you begin to get different information, and then you can begin to tap into it more. That's my starter for the response to that question.
Great. Who else wants to jump in?
I'll go. Yeah, I've been clairvoyant from pretty much day one for me.
And
And
that's clear
then,
seeing if people don't know what that means. So meaning that you
yeah,
see more than other people typically see.
yeah. And and then as I got older, then the other things actually kicked in. And so, just looking at the list that's there, I pretty much do all of that. The only thing that I don't really do much of is tasting the clairgustance. But yeah, my sense of smell is like off the charts sometimes. And so, and I hear my guides all the time. And the clairsentience, like the feeling, sensing in the body, that because of what I do, I actively suppress because I deal with a lot of demons. I really don't want to feel any of that stuff. So I actively suppress that. Um, the clairtangency, the touching, there's not a lot of that. Habits, mannerisms, tonality. Sometimes that comes up actually when I'm just doing psychic readings for other people. Like that, like I'll say something and the person just goes, "What?" Because I've said something that like their loved one had said to them like long before they were, so something I couldn't have known.
Mm-hmm.
And then the clear empathy that's listed there is that's another thing. I'm just like, I mean, I have a degree of that, but again, like that's one of the things that in for my abilities that I actively suppress because of primarily what I do. And then
And
sometimes I do have
I want to say, clear empathy is one I kind of made up too. Like I think it's a Claire, but it's not often listed as a Claire.
and
going.
I got that, but I'm going down the list here because it's what you posted. And then the clear intellect, sometimes, and then clear cognizance for sure. Like sometimes people will ask me stuff and I'll just be like blah 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 blah, and they go, "Oh." So there's a particular, so for the most part, I have most of that, and it's all pretty much active, just to different degrees. And I think that that's true for most people who have some sort of practice. It's like different things show up at different points in different levels. I mean, there are times when, my thing is like my primary thing is seeing, right? Because that's just the thing that I started out with, so it's the strongest. But there are times when if I'm like working with somebody, sometimes I will actually just look down at the floor so that I kind of curb that ability so I can let the other abilities kind of take center stage, I guess you could say. So it really depends. I mean, all this, as far as my ability is concerned, like everything is on all the time, but I don't use them all at once for
Mm-hmm.
every single thing. It varies. And as far as tools that I use, I mean, sometimes I just have fun with it. Like for instance, like Lorelei was mentioning that she likes to watch K dramas and C dramas. I love those too. Totally addicted. Love them. Guilty pleasure to the max. And what I'll do sometimes is I will kind of like just read into it and be like, okay, so what they're going to do is this next. Okay, that's going to come next. Oh, then there's going to be a person who's going to show up and do this. And I mean, I know nothing about the story. I mean, and I know stories tend to have like a general whatever, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, yeah, so this person should be appearing about now, and they're probably going to say this. And so that's kind of like how I practice with some of the things that I do. And I do this not just with like fiction, I do this like I'm watching the news, and I'm like, okay, the person's probably going to say this next. Okay, and then there's going to be somebody who's going to walk behind them in about a minute. And then it's like, so this is how, like, as far as just tools that you can use all the time, or if you're just out people watching, you'd be like, let's see, is somebody going to walk by in a couple minutes? Yep, there they are. It's like, it's just a matter of tuning in and then allowing that information to come to you in whatever form it takes. So it could be like you've seen something in your head, you've heard it, you feel it, or whatever it is. So it's not as complicated as people think, and you don't always have to like follow someone else's particular protocol to get there.
Let's say and then having the intention of getting better at it and giving yourself opportunities to practice.
Yeah.
And trusting yourself, because you're going to hear stuff, you're going to see stuff, you're going to feel stuff, you're going to know stuff, and you'll be like, what? But you have to follow it, and you also kind of got to learn the language of how source is talking to you. Like Lorelei, Hewitt, you were saying that about something red. I can't remember what it was, and red something means whatever, and that's how that showed up for that person, and that's how they interpreted that. And stuff like that will show up for me as well. So it shows up. I don't know about. I could say all these clairs because some of them kind of blend in a way, but yeah, if you want it, you got to practice it, and then you got to learn it.
And I will add one real quick thing is that when you start with your abilities, like start working with your abilities, make sure that part of your intention is that you see that you set the boundaries for what you want to see. because the universe doesn't have boundaries unless so in other words, like you'll see all kinds of things. I mean, like some people will sense like, that someone's got an addiction or someone's being abused or someone is an abuser, that kind of stuff. So if you don't want to see any of that and you just want to get like good impressions of things, make sure you put that as part of your intention. So like when I do readings for people, I'm like, I can see many things, all kinds of things. But I always say, like, if I'm going to do a reading for somebody, like, give me information that is relevant to the person, that is helpful to that person, and anything else about them, I don't need to know. So you have to have your boundaries around this kind of stuff as well, because basically, if you tell them to open the door, they'll open the door.
I I like my invocation for that is ask Spirit to help me see what must be seen, hear what must be heard, feel what must be felt, speak what must be spoken, and do what must be done to da 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 da. Whatever it is, if I'm helping somebody or working with somebody to see things, and I do think, for me, I look back. And I don't know that I still don't feel like I'm all that talented of a psychic per se, but I do know a lot of stuff. I know. It's just normal stuff. I mean, it's just the way we walk through life. And yes, I speak to dead people. Don't you guys do too? To me, it's just normal. And so it's hard for me to, it's just, I don't know. It's not that big of a deal. And I think a lot of people experience a lot of really cool, interesting things, but because they've been taught that they don't, that they've been shut down, it's like, oh no, you're imagining that. You've been basically, most psychics are
But
gaslighted,
there,
right? In a
there's a
way.
huge thought form that people can't do these things that we've carded for so many
Yeah.
generations with everybody.
Yes. Yeah.
Or if you're
Exactly.
doing it, you're insane, or you're
Yeah.
possessed, or
Yeah.
you're going to end up in the mental institution.
Yeah, or it's like
Yes.
black magic or you're evil or some such
Right.
thing. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
always look at it too, like it's just another talent. Just like some people are really good at music or math or, I don't know, art, painting. Some of
Basketball.
us, yeah,
And
basketball. Some of us are just really good at the mystical arts. I mean, we're good at expanding our awareness and looking outside the box of our brain, I guess you could say, or out of the box of this reality. It's not any more or less important or more or less unusual as any other talent. And in fact, just like many physical talents overlap, like somebody that runs fast can also be good at basketball. Somebody that is good at perceiving in these realities can also be a good healer. So they might be a good medium and a good healer, but they're going to focus on the thing that they're drawn to, right? The thing that they're interested in. And whatever that is,
and,
there's a whole, yeah, go
and
ahead.
to this point, of course, we have different physical abilities, and generally everybody can do something with basketball or sports. We can generally sing. People are better than others, and we all can do these things. And so there's a way that we all can open in these ways.
Yes, yeah. But and Crystal and Kai and Lorelei Shimayo, you're also saying it's practice, practice. But it's a craft that you hone
Yes.
and that you
Hmm.
expand, just like running, just like sports, just like math, just like philosophy. You might have an aptitude for it, but you have to practice it, and you have to get out there and you have to do it, and you have to be brave enough to to see
Take
the
risks
unseen.
and be willing to be wrong, and then talk about these
Yeah,
things and all this stuff. Yeah.
yeah, to get out there and just and you know get. I had when I was younger, I had a circle of friends. We'd get together every new moon and full moon, and we just read cards for each other, and or runes, and we do psychic healings for each other. We just did it, and it was a kind of a practice for us. Um,
Hmm.
I also am a huge fan of meditation. I think that my psychic gifts would not be as honed, I wouldn't be as comfortable doing what I do if I didn't have a rigorous daily meditation practice. I've been doing it for over 40 years. I know Crystal, you're in there with, I think you're like at 45 years. We've been doing this a long time. And why do we do this? I don't know. We just do. Why does my sister play the piano all the flipping time? I don't get it. Why would she do that? I don't know. I really
It's
don't.
not your thing.
It's not my thing. No.
So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
see,
yeah,
and
so what
I'm the
calls you?
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm the anomaly. Like I don't meditate that often,
Yeah.
right? So in other words, there are different ways to get there.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and I think a lot of that is because of our past lives and our genetic inheritance too. This is not something that is a genetic lineage. I mean, I think people have slight aptitudes, but for me, it's more cultivated than it is genetically just gifted, just there. So,
Well, the other thing I found that if you've been meditating for whatever that amount of time and you get to a place where you are walking around so mindful that in a way you're meditating in a way all the time because you're observing everything. And when something happens, you stop and like investigate it, or what is that? Or um, you remain open to what's happening around you so that you can pick up all this information as it's coming. There's so much input, stimulation around us. There's
yes.
so many different things going on. And that, again, is part of the focus point of somebody asked me one time, like, how can you sit here and read me in the middle? It's so noisy, like at some of the MeWe events in the atrium at like one of the Hiltons. The sound is echoing off of everything. People are talking, there's noise. And they're like, how do you? I'm like, I'm focusing. It's like I'm aware you're sitting here, but I'm also this is happening here and this is happening here. What am I choosing to focus on in this moment that I want to hear or get the information of what's happening? So it's a shift of focus.
Yeah, I
And
have
you're,
to I really want to add
yeah,
to that, Crystal. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. I,
go
yes, I
for
do.
it.
I do mean to interrupt you because I'm doing it. Anyway, I'm sorry.
There you go. Way to own that.
But it is like taking part of the practice, I think, is just what you're saying. I think of it as using your mind to be like a microscope to look inside people's bodies, to look in the cells, or as a telescope to look at the stars, to look at the universe, and
Hmm.
and be flexible enough to hold as much or as little as is needed because they both there's just as much of a universe in the micro view as the macro view. I don't even know if that's the right word, the macro and the
Yeah,
micro. Who
yeah.
knows? Maybe we're all just living inside somebody's body that we call God, and we're nothing but like
We're a
amoebas
corpuscle of
with
the
nice
divine.
hair. We're amoebas with good hair.
So
I don't know.
the woman who channeled Katumi, at one point there was a guy in class who did social media stuff and helped her build a website, and he videotaped her channeling. And he said one time he asked this one question. He says, "Okay, Katumi, what's the one thing that you could say is probably the most important thing if you wanted to like narrow it all down?" And he said, "To listen." And I thought, wow, that is a pretty encompassing statement, like listening to other people, listening to hear, listening to the divine, listening to the wind, listening to water as it moves across. I mean, again, that's that focus. There's so much different stuff coming, and you have to be able to hear it and allow it to come in. And if your mind's constantly hamster wheeling, there's a lot you miss because your mind is like trying to the mind thinks it's the gardener, but it's actually a shovel. Your mind thinks it's all that and it's in charge. And so that's part of, again, one of the impetus of meditating is to start to train yourself so that you aren't driven by the hamster wheel, that you
Yeah.
create
And I think
that space.
yeah, and I think the hamster wheel, I'm going back to my thought forms, is also caused by having too many attachments, too many thought forms. Because if you have pieces of your mind attached too many people, places, things, you don't understand how that is affecting you. Meditation dissolves those as much as possible.
Hmm.
Whatever practice that you have,
Hmm.
it can dissolve that. I think some of us have ancestors that help us do that for us all the time too. And that's kind of that, that is something that, some people are lucky to have. But for some of us, we just got to wake up every morning and do it ourselves. And, either way it works.
I say I'm not I just want to go back to the question and just put a little bit of me in
Oh,
here
yeah,
too
yeah,
of just I've not been open in the same way as the three of you. I wasn't as open early. I guess Lorelei, you didn't talk about your beginnings, but I wasn't as open early, although I did. So claircognizance has been my main thing. I think I also do a version of clairvoyance of seeing like when I'm connecting with someone's energy, it feels like I make up and imagine, but I think I'm connecting to history and I have like videos of them, kind of feeling videos of them engaging in things. So I think of that as a little claircognizance, clear empathy. And definitely clairsentience. I pick up things in my body, but the clear knowing. I've since I've been at least a teenager, I've had just knowings that just bam, just arrive. Like my name just arrived that way, but like so much younger before I ever did any of this stuff. Um, so yeah, so I think lots of people probably have lots of things and they just discount them and ignore them and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I'm just present to the time. We're 24 minutes
Yes.
over previously
Yeah.
scheduled time. Is there anything anyone else wants to say before we do our closeout? And we're going to do, Lorelei, we're going to do a closeout where you each can introduce yourselves again, say how people can contact you, say you're special, you want to say you're special, and I put them in chat again. I also put, for the people that are here, I put a link to where our YouTube channel is. I will get this posted. I'll aim to do this before I go to sleep tonight. And our next one is coming up on June 14. We do have this monthly. Our guest next time is Jenny Capella. One of the things she is an ET whisperer. And yeah, it has been so much fun having you here, Lorelei. It's been great, great fun for
Oh,
me. I think for
Good to see you.
everybody. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, anything anyone else wants to say about the topics that we have talked tonight or the topic that we were just talking about?
No, I'm just glad that we got to do the thought form conversation that I've been wanting to have for years.
thank you for saying that. It's been really, really wonderful to interact with you guys again. I'll probably, I'm probably going to be back in the Washington area in about a year or so. I'm not sure exactly when, but um,
Well, our
Yeah,
contact
tell us,
information is over
well,
here.
yeah, tell us again who you are and what you do and what people
oh,
can see
okay,
you
all
for and
right.
what your special is and all
Yeah,
that
oh,
stuff.
okay. I am, my name is Lorelei Hewitt, modern mystic that practices ancient Nordic shamanic traditions. I also do a lot of mediumistic unraveling of fate, I guess you could say, and spirit talk. So if you are interested in having a session with me, you can reach me. I think my contact information is there. Modernmystic.me is my website. And if you mention that you saw me here, my sessions are usually $175 for 90 minutes, and I'll just charge $100 um, for a session. So that's my coupon. Just say hi. I saw you at MeWe.
It's great. And so it's a modern mystic dot me.
Modernmystic.me. Yeah. Not .com or .org, but me. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
Thanks. It's been such great fun. All right. Kai or Crystal, who wants to go?
I'll go. So thank you, everyone. I'm Kai for coming tonight and listening to our fabulous conversation. I had a great time. I mean, I always have a great time, but it was really nice to see you, Lorelei, because I haven't seen you for a while, and I'm like, dang it, let's invite her. Let's see if she could be available for this. So I'm glad you were able to make it. And if anybody wants any more information on me, my website is handsonfire.buzz, B-U-Z-Z. It's got lots of articles on there on different metaphysical subjects and stuff that you can, dig through and see if any of that is relevant to you or your abilities or helping you out with different things that you've been thinking about or contemplating. And yeah, I'm gonna be here again next month to do this. And if you really enjoyed this, then please come back and join us again. Sometimes it's just, me, Lorelei, and Crystal, and other times we're privileged to have guests like we did with Lorelei this time. But it's always a good time, and we always welcome questions, especially, the general ones that, like, I always wondered about this kind of thing. Like, we like talking about that kind of stuff. So bring your questions because that's what conversation is about.
Mhm.
Thanks, Kai. Crystal.
Well, I also am grateful and very thankful for this evening. Lorelei, of course, it was great to see you. I was pretty stoked when other Lorelei, mentioned that you were going to be able to come in and be a guest speaker. So I hope that you don't consider this a one-time thing.
Yeah.
Put you in the rotation.
Yeah, please do. I really had fun doing this, and at least I get to interact with you guys too, and yeah, have conversations. And maybe another time we can talk about, yeah, some of the other really weird topics that we were mentioning today.
There's
Yeah.
tons of them out there.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Great. Crystal, tell us more about you. Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to get a hold of me, my website is iknowstuff.me, or you can reach me at by email at crystal@iknowstuff.me. I also have a book that I published that I talked about briefly at the beginning of this conversation. It's called Remembering Who You Are. You can get it in paperback or Kindle version. It's on Amazon. Yes, I know, Amazon, but that was a good choice for me at the time. And you also can get if you go to either version, they do the sample read on the side. So it's a great way to like explore what I'm talking about, the basic premises that I'm starting with. And then if that calls to you, then there's your book. I also, if you go to my website, I also offer psychic readings, mentoring, and coaching. There's a free discovery call for mentoring and coaching. And then I also have a meditative study group community that's called the Path of Light. You can learn more about that on my site as well. That's a weekly Zoom meeting where we go live and definitely have a meditation, and then we talk about different topics. And people get to share if they feel like sharing about what they're experiencing and what's going on. And it's a safe container. So again, if any of this calls to you or speaks to you, then you know how to get a hold of me, and I would look forward to that. So again, thank you for this opportunity this evening.
Thanks, Crystal. And I'm Lorelei Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader. You can learn more about my readings at intuitiveeyereading.com. You can learn more about the archetypes that I read in people's eyes at thrivetypes.com. I have a course series on how to read people's eyes. I have a number of classes on the body psychology tools that I teach, including what I talked about, the different feelings in the body. So getting what all the feelings are, what they mean, how you can notice them in your body, and exercises on how to feel them and be around other people feeling them, and lots of other tools. If you reach out to me, Lorelei at thrivetypes.com is one place to get to me. And my Lorelei is Laureli, and the other Lorelei here is Lorelei. So know who we are, know how to find us. It's been great being here. You can find out more about Cosmic Conversations coming up and more of all of our events at MeWeFairs.com. Thanks everyone for being here, all four of us here on the stage, all of you that attended. These were great questions. Thank you for the personal questions. Thanks for your support to run more and more of these events. This is great.